my fidget spinner.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready to go, man. I couldn't record a podcast without it, man.
Well, sources say we're live. So
Live.
why don't you go ahead and spin that fidget? I got to send a
Tweet,
share, a social share.
invite the people.
Yeah, I want to get some fans in here, you know. I know there's a couple people waiting for us.
Clay Morgan. Brandon, what's up, dude? Braden, not Brandon. You ever was that night at the museum? It's Brendan.
Brendan Fraser?
No, night at the museum. It's Brendan, not Brundon or whatever. Brandon. Okay, here we go. We got people here. Sam, Jay Roski, Clay, Timothy. Welcome.
Welcome, guys.
Whenever Dre's with us, I always feel like I have to call Kyle KC.
Hey, KC.
I never call him that in my entire life. Never even think of it. But when Dre's around, KC.
yeah, man. Absolutely.
All right, you guys ready to do it?
I think so.
Okay.
Let's go.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes here on the Draft Dudes podcast presented by Locked On. It's Joe Marino and Kyle Krabs and Dre Harris from the Draft Network. And we are your hosts here on this live episode of Would You Rather, live on a Thursday night before Thursday Night Football and in your podcast feed on Friday. Kyle, welcome. Glad to see you are here after some
technical difficulties.
Yeah,
I'm here, and I have my candle. I don't know if you saw that on the.
It's never lit though. It's never lit.
I actually brought the lighter down here. I might actually has not been lit before, but I'm a lighter right now.
Wow, this is going to be a special podcast. Dre, what's up, dude? Welcome.
Hey, man. As always, it's a pleasure to be here, guys. Thanks for having me, and excited to be on the show again. Thanks.
All right. Well, it's Would You Rather. I've got 4 good ones, man. 4 good ones.
4 good ones.
Yeah. I don't know what you have, but I have 4 good ones.
I got a couple good ones, but mine are I'm ambushing Dre.
Oh,
I told Dre, I said I'm gonna have some surprises for you.
Let's rock.
I want both of your opinions on all 4 of mine.
Well, yeah, I know but Dre's, typically we give, the newly initiated dudes, we give them a little bit more heads up. No, not today.
Hey,
Dre's flying blind with the rest of us on my takes.
Let's go, man.
All right. Here we go. Can I?
All right.
Which one I want to do first here? All right, here we go. If you were the Bears, the Chicago Bears, who are playing tonight, would you rather trade a 2nd and 4th round pick for Sam Darnold, or just a 2nd round pick for Dwayne Haskins?
Kyle, you want to take that first, or you want me to jump at it?
I want you to take it.
It's tough, man, because I think that we don't really. Do we really know what either of those guys are? I think we talk all the time about that's the one position where fit is a determining factor in the success of the quarterback, man. I mean, but if you put a gun in my head and I had to choose, I think I'd take the situation with Sam. I think Sam is a better fit for today's NFL for his ability to move in the pocket, has shown the ability to move the chains with his arms and legs. I think Dwayne Haskins is more of a sitting guy. So if I was pressed for an answer, I'd probably say the situation with Sam. So,
okay, so it's a 2 and a 4 or just a 2?
Yep.
I can create a 4 like that. I could trade back 10 spots in the 3rd round and pick up a 4th. So the extra compensation really doesn't move the needle for me, and therefore I agree with what Dre said as far as Sam's mobility and off-script potential, I think is enough for me to swing the pendulum in his favor. So that's where I would go. Joe, do you have an answer?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty easily Sam, but I didn't know if maybe some of the unknowns with Haskins, right? Only a 1-year starter in the Big Ten. I mean, not even a full season of starting experience in the NFL. If you thought there was more of a opportunity to kind of pick up the pieces there as opposed to Sam Darnold, who's been Adam Gase, right? I mean, so you kind of have to fix him in some ways, but I agree. I'd rather go with Darnold.
Okay. Now, people might not know this about you, Dre, but there was a little bit of time there where you had an opportunity to play some coverage against some of the best receivers in the NFL at that time. Okay, so I'm going to bank on that experience, and I'm going to ask you a question about covering one of the best guys in the league today versus another situation that might not be a very appealing scenario to find yourself as a football player. Okay.
Got it.
Joe, I also want your answer, but there's a little less appeal for you because you didn't cover Jerry Rice at any point, right? So like, Dre, would you rather try to cover Tyreek Hill one-on-one, man coverage, deep, or try to tackle Derrick Henry on the edge?
Ooh, good question, KC. It's an interesting. That's an interesting question, man. During my brief time with San Francisco in training camp, of course, I did have the opportunity to cover Jerry Rice and Terrell Owens. But would I rather cover Tyreek or tackle Derrick Henry?
One-on-one. Both scenarios one-on-one.
It's a good question. I think that I'd rather cover Tyreek Hill, but I wouldn't confuse that with cowardice, because I would.
Of course not.
I would. I certainly, if I had to, I would come up and cut Henry. Would not try to tackle him high for sure. That's
the only way that you're going to tackle him, right? It's just chop him down at the thighs and hope for the best.
Exactly. That is a big, strong young man. But the interesting thing is, it's actually not that hard to cover really, really fast guys. It's because they have constant speed. It's the guys who do a good job at changing their speeds. Like a guy could be a 4.6 guy, and if he's good at being sudden and then being slow and being good at creating separation, he's actually more of a challenge. So if you're Tyreek, you have like a lot of constant speed in the straight, you can open up early because he's fast and he's going deep and still be on top. So it isn't necessarily a hard thing, but I certainly rather cover Tyreek than have to hit the brick wall, which is Derrick Henry.
Joe.
Well, I mean, Tyreek's going to be 10 yards by me by the time I get turned. Right?
So that's why you got to pretend.
Right. I'm immediately, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend like I thought I had help over top and to just play the flat.
Oh, right. Yeah. You turn around, you're like,
yeah. Oh, damn. Yeah. So, yeah.
I'm the shit coverage.
Well, I'm not doing it. I'm definitely not. I don't have a chance at that. Right. Just the Lord didn't give me the ability to do things like that. So I'm going to take my chances with Derrick Henry 1v1, and I'll give it a shot. See what I can do.
Now, real quick, Joe. Sorry.
Yeah.
This was inspired by our guy Vontells, who watches the show. He chimes in with us, and he's actually here in the comments here. Even though we had beef, he's talking to me. Even though we had beef from earlier today, shout out for that throwback hypothetical from Kyle. So Vontells and I had beef on social, and it all stems from I gave Journey Brown, the running back from Penn State, to the Cardinals in the second round of my mock draft 2.1, which is the 2 rounder that dropped. And he said, man, we need an interior offensive line. We need a corner. We need a wide receiver. But I didn't really like any of the options that they had at those positions. So what I would ask you is this, because Vontells said, no, I said, Vontells, we got free agency here too. Like they can sign some of these guys in free agency. And he said, that's what getting a running back is for, free agency, not in the second round. So my hypothetical that I want to clear the air with Vontells, with both of you are my witness here. You can draft a running back in the 50 to 55, 60 range. And J.K. Dobbins, for example, his contract is $5.7 million over 4 years. Or you can sign a guy in free agency knowing that Carlos Hyde got $2.75 million for just this year alone. Which is a better value, and what's going to get you better bang for your buck? Second round running back or signing one of these guys in free agency?
I think for me is you'd have to draft a young guy. I mean, I think if you look at the shelf life of what backs have been in the National Football League, I think it's been widely known that once they hit the age of 30, that their production sharply declines. I mean, so you got to take that into consideration. Also, there are cap ramifications when you draft a guy who's young. Like you can have him longer. So I think for me, if you're thinking that both guys are going to be the starter, you're better off getting a younger guy that you can work with, and you'll have more time and not necessarily take a big of a cap hit.
Now, I did not, Vontells, I didn't tell them about this at all beforehand. So Dre just backed me on his own. Joe, what do you got?
The world knows where I stand on this. Kyle and I were talking off record. Was it yesterday? Damn Panthers are 2-0 without Christian McCaffrey. Mike Davis is a starting running back. Give me that second-round running back all day long over paying any running back that's a veteran anything.
All right.
Okay. Am I up?
You are. Yeah.
I thought I had a question.
He does. He did come prepared. We've never given anybody else a would you rather before, so it's just natural instinct to ping back and forth between the two of us. So this is the first ever dudes, non-Kyle and Joe hypothetical that didn't come from somebody in the comments section. So let it rip.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the opportunity to ask y'all ask you a hypothetical. So my would you rather is if you're the Giants, right? Okay. If you're the Giants and you have a chance, say you finish in the top 10 and you have a chance at one of the big three, do you take it, or do you? What do you do with the pick if you're the New York Giants? If you have an opportunity at one of the big three,
I feel like it has to be. I have to know which one of the big three. We're talking Lance, Fields, and Lawrence. I'm not moving off of Lawrence if I'm any team, right? I mean, so that one makes it easy, but I probably would roll with Fields. I don't know that I'm comfortable with Lance because I think he's going to need some time to get acclimated. So I will say that if it's Fields or Lawrence, count me in on that quarterback, but not Lance. I think there's a curve there that I'm not comfortable with.
That's fair.
I'd probably sit in the same boat. I really like Justin Fields. Obviously, the sample size isn't huge for him. He's got 1 year as a starter. He's going to get an opportunity to start another 8 plus probably a conference championship game is 9 plus potentially college football playoff / a bowl game. So you're talking double-digit games for Justin. You're going to get a really nice sample size to see what he is. I will based off of what I've seen already of Justin Fields, he's probably going to be graded higher than where I had Daniel Jones. Which was a mid-day 2 type quarterback. And obviously these guys, Dre, we talked about in our staff meeting today, these guys get pushed up the board every year. So it's not a surprise that Daniel ended up going where he went. And I think he had starting potential, but I don't think his ceiling's high. And then when you look at Justin Fields, I think you got a higher ceiling there. Or how confident are we that this coaching staff is going to be a long-term thing? And this coaching staff wasn't even the one that picked Daniel Jones. Dave Gettleman feels like he's on the fringe. So, like, especially if there's a regime change there, I'd probably take Lawrence or Fields. But I kind of agree with Joe where it's like there's too much unknown and it's too much of almost feels like a parallel step with Trey Lance.
All right, boys, you ready for this one?
Yeah.
Excited for this one. Would you rather have Isaiah Simmons or Jeremy Chin? Now, just a little bit of context here. Jeremy Chin has played 97% of the defensive snaps for the Carolina Panthers. Isaiah Simmons has played 44 defensive snaps in 4 games. Really different feels, but obviously we're talking about a top 10 pick and the last pick of the second round. So you guys can fight over who goes first, but would you rather have Isaiah Simmons or Jeremy Chin?
Kyle is pointing at me, so I think I'll go first. I would rather have Jeremy Chin. I think that it's telling with the Cardinals defense not necessarily being great. I don't know where they currently stand, but they're not great. And the fact that Simmons cannot get on the field, even with the injuries they've had on the back end, I think it's telling. I think they're both athletes who are versatile. They're multiple. They can be used in a lot of different ways. They can be the linebacker and sub. So I do like both of their versatility. But at this stage, for my money, I think the Chin is the better football player.
So Jeremy Chin, with the price that you can get Jeremy Chin at, which was the last pick in the second round, give me that dude all day. I love Jeremy Chin's tape coming out. And he blew away the pre-draft process. And Carolina's putting him in a position to be an athlete and really shine in pursuit. Where Arizona, they're trying to find the spot that makes the most sense for him. But They already have some of these dynamic, like versatile Buda Baker as an example, right? It's like kind of a chess piece, a little bit of a doing everything guy there. So you kind of almost have to like pigeonhole him into this is your role on defense. And that kind of takes away from what some of his appeal is anyway. So I like the value of Chin better. I thought they were comparable players. I had Chin as my 43rd ranked player in this year's NFL draft. Simmons was a top 10 player for me based on what he can be. But if you could tell me I have to spend the top 10 pick on one guy or I can get the other guy at 64, I'm taking the guy at 64 because I think there's similar ceiling with the players. And now you're telling me Chin's even performing at a higher level early on. That's a no-brainer.
It's funny because we talk so much about Carolina as a team that could take Simmons. So they get Derrick Brown and perhaps the better version of Simmons in the second round. Oh, by the way, in addition to Yetur Gross-Matos. So nicely done there.
Yeah.
I guess Marty Herney. I don't know.
Who knows who's
making the decisions over there? Who knows?
All right. Let me see. I think we had a couple fan ones. I'm going to pull in a fan one.
Sweet.
This comes from the Sports Nut. Would you rather, if you were a head coaching candidate, take the Jets or Texans when you take into consideration the talent on the roster, the salary cap, the draft picks, everything in mind? So you as a coach get to pick coaching the Jets or Texans. Which one you take?
So I actually, this is one that I had ready for you guys.
Oh, yikes.
And the way I had it is, would you rather take the Texans job, the Jets job, assuming you get the number one pick, or I also added the Jaguars, which you get 2 first-round picks, and I was going to say they were 5 and 24.
Why are you hijacking this man's take? This man gave us a question, and you just turned it into
I
your
wanted
question.
to see if the Jaguars being introduced would create a difference for you guys, but I guess I'll go here. I'll keep it with what the Sports Nut has given us. If it's the Jets, if I get the number one pick and it's the Jets, that means I get Trevor Lawrence plus another first-round pick.
And 33.
Yeah, and 33, and some draft picks that I liked last year, and tons of cap space, and I'm not paying my quarterback $40 million a season yet.
Mekhi Becton.
So give me that Jets job over the Texans for those reasons.
Wow. Dre?
So I'll have to agree with Joe here and say the Jets. I think there's a lot of unknown in the front office with the Texans, particularly with what Jack Easterby is doing there and what his role is and how he's still there while O'Brien got fired and Billy O handpicked him. So there's a lot of unknown that if you're a head coach, you'd have to consider. But to answer Joe's question, to include Jacksonville in the equation, I think I would rather take Jacksonville out of those three. I think when you look at the overall team and the consumption of the roster and so forth, I think that the Jags have a much better roster. I think that the picks you have give you flexibility if you want to move up and take a QB or do a few things. And the last thing, I think they have a much more stable owner, much more present owner, certainly than the Jets. Maybe not as much as the Texans. So if I'm incorporating the Jags in that equation, which was Joe's question, I would probably take Jacksonville out of the three.
So I guess I got to answer here, huh? Yep. And I'll include Jacksonville here because I do think Jacksonville gets interesting where I think Jacksonville is the best defensive talent of all three teams. Houston has the most established quarterback, but the most expensive quarterback of the three. Houston's the only one that doesn't have draft assets on their side, and you're paying your quarter. So it's like you know what you have at quarterback, but that comes at the expense of all NFL draft ability, draft or salary cap flexibility, and adding any talent to your roster versus what you have right now. And the rest of Houston is broken right now. Defensively, they're not in a good place. I know they've invested a lot in the offensive line, but they still have pass protection issues, and some of that falls back on the Deshaun. And then you got rid of DeAndre Hopkins. So I think you look at the entire picture of Houston, it's a tough sell when you could tell me, yeah, you can have Trevor Lawrence, or you can have an overall better team environment with, Dre, as you said, an owner that has proven to be extremely loyal to whoever he chooses to give the keys to the castle to, right? Where, Marone's been here a while. Caldwell's been the GM for seemingly forever. I know they made that GM change 2013, and he's been there ever since.
Yeah.
And they've not been a team that's had a lot of success, but they're steadfast in their organization. So I think Jacksonville having the pick flexibility that they do, I still wish they had Yannick Ngakoue. It'd make this a lot easier for me to take him because I love me some Yannick, but probably Jacksonville. So, Joe, yes, introducing Jacksonville does absolutely positively change the dynamics.
But if it was Jets and Texans, would you go Jets?
No, because I don't trust the Johnson family as owners to keep the ship sailed in the right direction.
For me, if it's just Jets and Texans, though, and I'm a head coach, I may be inclined to go Houston here only because if they allow me to bring my guy in and we have an established QB, then I think there's certainly some intrigue there with being able to bring your GM. But I'd have to know the front office dynamics before I arrive for sure.
And that's the big thing too, where it's like, Joe, we talked about this. I think it was on Tuesday when they fired O'Brien. The worst will be over for Houston from an assets perspective within your first year of working on the job. So if I take the job in January, I'm already telling ownership and whoever I'm working with is the GM, listen, year one for us is an eval year where we need to figure out what we got. We obviously have Deshaun Watson, but do we need to shed some expensive veterans and try and pick up some extra capital? But I'm not coming in year one expecting to try and win a Super Bowl because I can't add anything to the roster because it was built to win now, but it was built to win now in a broken fashion.
Absolutely.
Man, I'm really steadfast on the Jets here because I get Trevor Lawrence.
Grossly underestimating the power of bad ownership.
I got Joe Douglas. Just get those Johnsons out of the way.
Okay, but they own the team.
You can't fire owners, Joe.
If we're winning,
when's the last time the Jets won?
They gave Rex Ryan a lot of time. They gave Todd Bowles a reasonable amount of time. If we're winning, we're going to be just fine.
And when's the last time the Jets won?
Well, they never had me and Joe Douglas running their football operation.
This year, when they finish in last place, it'll be, I think, the fourth time in 5 years they finished last in the AFC East.
So we get the top, almost the most salary cap space in the NFL. We get Trevor Lawrence, another first-round pick, 33. I got a nucleus of players that I like from last year's draft, and Becton and Mims and Braden Mann, the punter. I had to mention him because I love him. Denzel Mims. I like enough there.
I'll just say this real quickly, Joe, about cap space. I mean, it hasn't been proven that you can build a team through free agents, and I think Philadelphia Eagles back in I don't know what year was it, the whole dream team stuff. I mean, I think they proved that as well. I think you still need to draft well and so forth. So cap space wasn't really big for me when thinking about the answer, but I think both of the jobs are very interesting though, to say the least, for sure.
Dre, you got another one?
Yeah. Now this is a slight curveball here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
he's bringing curveballs into the show now, Joe.
No, it's curveball. So, not sure if you guys are basketball fans or not, but the Los Angeles Lakers are about to win the championship tomorrow. So I had a basketball question.
Okay.
If you're starting a basketball team, would you rather have LeBron James coming out as a 19-year-old, 18-year-old kid, or would you rather have Giannis, the current back-to-back MVP of the league, if you're starting your team?
I know. I think I want LeBron. I have fallen out of basketball a little bit. So I probably don't appreciate how good Giannis is. Sounds like he's great. The Greek freak, right? He has lots of great stats.
He's in Madden now too.
Is he?
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Yeah,
Makes no sense.
Yeah.
I have watched when I was into basketball heavy, it was right when LeBron was. He still is killing the league, right?
Mm-hmm.
I felt like watching LeBron James that there were just times that he could do whatever he wanted on the basketball court. It did whenever he wanted to dial it in, didn't matter. And what he's done in terms of like finals appearances, championships, and Giannis is probably like, there's probably some parallels to early stage LeBron to Giannis, but I know what I get. I know what the end looks like with LeBron, and I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine Giannis, whenever Giannis is at the same point in LeBron's career, I can't imagine it being the same in terms of accolades.
Right.
Yeah, this is what LeBron's 10th straight NBA Finals appearance.
It's crazy.
Between
on 3 different teams.
The Cavs, the Heat, and now the Lakers. Yeah, LeBron. I know Joe makes the best point in that we know what the end looks like for LeBron. And when LeBron first came out, there was the questions about, okay, can he get into the Mamba mentality, right? Like that Kobe always flipped the switch and he just like killed games. And he was always the guy that had the ball at the end of the game. And LeBron wasn't always like that. And he had some help with Kyrie early on in his career, but like, man, he is just the ultimate athlete. You know, as far as the dudes that I have watched in my lifetime, first of all, I think the best athletes in the world play basketball because you got to be 6'5" plus a lot of the times. You got to be able to jump through the gym. You know, that you have to play both ways. There's no one-way type players, right? Everybody plays offense, defense. So I think the appreciation that I have for LeBron at his size, how dominant he is, how explosive he is, even now. How old is LeBron?
He's in his 17th year. I think he's 35. Yeah.
35, and he's
17th year.
Man, yeah. I'll take LeBron because I know what I get.
The best athletes in the world are cornerbacks.
Yeah.
Cornerbacks?
Yes, cornerbacks.
These dudes are 5'10".
Listen, you have to guard somebody who knows where they're going.
Yeah.
With a quarterback that knows where they're going, and you have to be completely reactive to mirror that. Those guys are special. And I think basketball players will be number 2 after cornerbacks.
Yeah. Yeah, I would if I'm starting a team, I'm not sure if you can tell it now, but I'm a huge Bron fan, just for the totality of what he brings to the game. And in short, I'll say this. There has probably never been an athlete to come into the league with so much expectation, having been on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he was 15 or 16, right? Have all the pressure and not only meet the expectation, but exceed expectation, and will be I believe, the first player in the history of the NBA to take 3 different teams to an NBA title, to have been to 10 straight finals, to have led the league in assists in his 17th year, and who I believe was robbed of the MVP this year, man. I just think that what he's doing is just unparalleled, and not to mention all the things off the court that he's done, man, in terms of his school and his philanthropic endeavors. It's just Bron, man. I mean, yeah, just LeBron.
Now we're up against it here, but we have a killer hypothetical from Sam that we have to close with. Would you rather have toes for fingers or fingers for toes?
That's funny.
I think fingers for toes, because I can't have toes for fingers and not be able to grab anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I'm thinking you're right about that. You probably have good balance if you have like fingers that are acclimated to being toes on your toes, right? Got a lot. Like you're like a bird, you know. We got to get out of here. I'm going to get in trouble. We start talking about non-football stuff, and things get weird for me.
Dre, toes for fingers or fingers for toes?
I would agree. Fingers for toes.
There we go. Lock it in. It's a consensus. Sure. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Dre, we had a blast with you. We're going to bring you back. You've now been experienced in Takes on Takes. Would you rather? Other shows that we've done. Now a formal member of the Draft Dudes podcast, Dre Harris. We are done for the week. We hope you guys enjoy Thursday Night Football. If you are listening to this on Friday, hit subscribe on the pod. And remember, Mondays and Thursdays, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we go live on YouTube, and we look forward to bringing you plenty of hot takes, plenty of hypotheticals along the way. Kyle Krabs, Joe Marino, Dre Harris, thanks as always for watching, and we'll talk to you guys again.